This will be a 15 kV opening for a hand tape splice. You get your overall measurement, which is 8 3/4 plus half the length of your connector. In this case, your connector is going to be 3.5, and half of that is 1 3/4. So 8 3/4 plus 1 3/4 is 10.5 inches. So you mark your cable with your marker, and then you're going to go ahead and mark. You can go ahead and mark 3 inches back because that's how much you need to sand the jacket. And you really want to go ahead and sand your jacket before you remove the outer jacket part that you need. You will use 80 grit sandpaper while doing this sanding on the jacket, because it leaves a rougher finish, so the epoxy has something to grip to. Let me show you how you want it to look, how good and sanded that is. You don't want any lines running through there that look smooth. You need them to be good and all the way around. Now dust that off a little bit, and at this next point you will take your stripping tool, which we call the law machine. You will get your law machine. You've got the square cut on the far end, and then you can go down to the strip cut. You'll start with you'll get it set, and you need to make sure you got the depth set on your blade good. You always check that before you get going. And then you go ahead and get started with your strip cut. You'll run it down the cable till you get to your mark at 10.5 inches. You want to make sure your mark's far enough around so you can see good where you're at. Back it off a little bit, and then unloosen, and then go down to the straight cut, square cut. Roll it around, a good turn. Sometimes a little more, but you'll see it let loose once you do. You can see that jacket release, and then you just got to grab it and start peeling it off. Really, if you loosen it up a little bit, it'll slide right off. And then you need to cut this off the paper on the outside there, and it doesn't have to be exact on that because you're fixing to put friction tape over your drain wires as well. You will make a mark at 1 inch so you'll know exactly where you're going to be putting your tape on. You can see, grabbing a ruler and lay the 1 inch on there. Want to make sure you're square around with that. Just a few good layers just for the thickness of it. Also, it helps protect the semicon below when using an iron on it or such. Maybe there's heat. You can put the 15 amp braid, the small 15 on, and that'll help with the tinning process when using your solder. One tie is all you need on this one. And then you'll go ahead and bend your drain wires back. And you'll want to tap them nicely down flat and flush. You'll work your way all the way around with that, and then at that point then you will want a good square cut on that back side of them. We'll get in here close so we can see the good cut back there. You can see where the line is underneath from your opening. Go around, have them neat when done. Now you'll get ready to mark your semicon, which your semicon takeoff is going to be 1 1/8 inch to 1 1/4 inch. Basically, that's going to be the width of where the blade is on your semicon stripper. So you go ahead and mark it, and like I say, 1 1/4 gives you a good measurement. You don't have to worry with it, but your minimum is going to be 1 1/8. So you want to make sure your depth is good on this, on your semicon score. There's a square cut, and then you'll have a spiral cut you can see on there, and then you'll look at the depth, the blade depth, and that's going to be a bifield measurement because each cable can be a little different. You want to check it before you do. We have already verified that we have the right opening on this, so the depth will be good. You will put your line your mark up that's on your semicon score with the line you've made on your cable, and you will make one counterclockwise turn around, and then you will go to the strip cut and go down the cable with it, going counterclockwise till you get to the end. When you get to the end, you want to pay attention to where it's coming out, where your blade's coming out, and that gives you a good idea of where to grab with your needle nose or duckbill pliers to start removing the semicon. You wipe down, there was a little bit of grease on there. Little grease on the base of your semicon score helps it slide a little better, and we're finding that it's not jumping off as much that way. Once you get started with the peeling of it, you get a little wrap around, you can grab it, you'll be able to grab it with your hands and just start peeling it off rather than having to roll the pliers all the way down. And this is the most critical point of your opening per se, is where that takeoff is right there under that line. You want that to be as smooth as possible. So when you get down here, you're going to slow down and make sure you're being careful as to how you're doing this and not leaving a tear or leaving any kind of extra excess or tearing it on the back side there on your remaining semicon. If you have a little piece, you just want to grab with your pliers and barely remove. Sometimes there can be a little strip there, and if there's a little edge on it when you're sanding, you can kind of get up against it and it'll smooth it out too for you on that end. Now you will go ahead and for your conductor, you need, as we recall in the opening, is the lug is 3.5 inches. So you're going to take that lug at 3.5, and half of that is 1 3/4 inches. You will at that point take 1 3/4 plus another 1/2 inch. So you go to 2 1/4 for your mark. You need to mark that cable at 2 1/4 inches on that insulation. Make sure you got a good mark so you can see when you are removing the insulation. You will take your insulation stripper, aka the La Machine. Make sure you get it on there. Check your depth setting, which you have the knob on top that sets the depth of the blade in or out. Get your depth setting on there and get your La Machine tight to the cable. Look at the end real good as you do it. Make sure you're good. You don't want to be scarring your conductor, because that can cause failure on a splice. So you go to your strip cut and start working it in. Just work your way down till you get to that line. Like I say, a good line around helps you see it with your La Machine blade, so you know where to stop. Once you get to where you need to be on that line, you back it up a little bit and go to square cut. And then you go ahead and twist it around counterclockwise and get it undone. and just peel that off. At this point, you will get your penciling tool out. Make sure you have the proper size cable adapter there for your penciling, for which size conductor you're using cable. You'll get a little bit of the Polywater, the purple spray cable clean, because it gives you a little bit of help. It helps that slide on there a little bit, makes it easier to twist when you're doing your penciling. So you go ahead and get started. Just a little pressure forward while you're turning it. As you can see how it's being held to make sure it stays kind of smooth. You don't want to get angled on there. Back off a little bit and pull off that excess insulation. You can spray it again a little bit if your preference on that point. So you keep doing that until you get it to where you got your strand shield starting to show as you're penciling. As you can see, it's showing just a little bit, but we got to get down good. You want to make sure you're all the way, make sure it's a good smooth transition from that insulation to the strand shield. So you really want to see the strand shield coming out of the penciling tool, not just see it exposed on the end of the cable. Probably have just another couple turns here and we will be in good shape with it. And one note, once you're done with your penciling tool, make sure it gets wiped out on the inside where that cable clean was. You can go ahead and get a packet of cable clean because it will dry quicker. You can get some of that residue from the other cable clean off as you get ready to prepare to sand. And when you go to sanding your insulation, you are going to use the 120 grit paper. 120 grit paper, it leaves it's a finer grit, leaves a smoother insulation on there. Just sand good all the way around. Make sure you get the insulation good in every portion of it. And you can tell how the lighter color is. That means you've gotten rid of all the dark and any kind of possible semicon residue that was on there. Plus it leaves it smoother for your taping and usage, which is critical when you're taping. You want that to be as smooth as possible. You want it to adhere well. You want that tape to adhere well to make your splice safer, more durable, and last longer. See how you can tell how light pink it is from where we started. You will use your conductor brush. Now, on most cases, you really want a conductor brush right before you put it into your connector, but for instances of training, we are conductor brushing now to show what we need to do. Then once you dust off your cable a little bit from all your sandpaper and insulation residue, then you'll go ahead and get your cable clean wipes. You will start about a half to an inch off of the semicon end, a little past middle, and you will work your way down to the end towards conductor. Work it all the way past the conductor, throwing your wipe away, getting a new wipe, and start overlapping from where you started before. Go the other side of the middle and start working your way back. Go all the way past that semicon up on your drain wires and throw that away as well. And if you need more clean, you can, but it's not necessary per se because you're going to have to put it together and do some other work, clean it up before you get started taping. And that is your 15 kV opening.